So today's presenter is Lorrie Mittmann. She's the race director for Peninsula Adventure Sports. The program today, endurance running on the Olympic Peninsula, was recommended by another presenter, so she's paying it forward, and so we're really thrilled to have you here, Lorrie. Lorrie grew up in Wisconsin, and during 8 years as a seasonal employee for the National Park Service, she fell in love with the Olympic Peninsula and decided to stay here in beautiful Port Angeles. I think half of the state of Wisconsin has moved here, actually.
There's a lot of Midwestern.
Yeah, she has a passion for trails and outdoor recreation, which leads her to promote and perform volunteer trail work. So for 5 years, Lorrie worked for Clallam County as the volunteer coordinator for the Olympic Discovery Trail and led construction of the then new Adventure Trail. She was the stewardship director of North Olympic Land Tracks for 12 years, and during that time founded Peninsula Adventure Sports. We're thrilled to have you here because with all the growth and the use and the people coming for our trails, it's just you're taking it the next loop. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you. You guys hear me if I stand up here? Or should I go there? Okay. Dad joke, bad joke. What color is this? What color is the wind? Blue. Here. I don't really like that.
Yeah, I got a little kid.
I got more, but we're not.
Yeah.
Okay.
This guy.
I don't know why my screen. Oh, I gotta go over here. I can't do that.
You can.
My computer will move on. I want you to do that. Sure.
Because people, there's some people that need to have them hear the mic.
All right, you guys can still hear me? Okay. So Kathy pretty much described all about me. One thing I'll add is I've been here for 21 years. So I came here to work working for the Park Service as a wildland firefighter. And then she told you about the rest of where I worked until now. And then I'm working for myself. I have a great boss. So yeah, so my company produces endurance sports events that showcase the natural beauty and ecological diversity of the Olympic Peninsula. And I won't talk too much. We're going to get to some really cool pictures in a little bit. Anyway, my races provide healthy fun at reasonable prices. And they benefit the community by enhancing tourism, improving the local economy, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, and conserving our natural resources. My company is what's known as a triple bottom line business. You guys have heard of that? Yeah, it's where a business supports the economy of a community, the social aspects of the community, and the environment. And so for the economic impacts, obviously the tourism impact is a very big one. I bring each race that I bring here each race that I produce brings between 200 and 400 participants, and they stay in the hotels, they eat in the restaurants, they go shopping, all the stuff. Also, I contribute to the local economy by purchasing goods locally. I buy supplies, I rent Santa cans and other equipment. I buy swag from a local supplier, t-shirts, that sort of thing. I hire local workers to help me on race day. And I also have a couple contract race directors that I'm starting to work with as I grow. And also, I donate 15% of my net to local nonprofit organizations. And I focus mainly on organizations that maintain our recreational assets, such as the Peninsula Trails Coalition, who does construction and maintenance of the Olympic Discovery Trail, and the Adventure Trail, which I use for my races. And also the Backcountry Horsemen. They do trail maintenance all over the peninsula, hundreds of miles of trails. They're really awesome. And also I donate to organizations that get kids into the outdoors. So, for the social aspect, you know, the main thing I have to say about that is that each of my events is a combined effort of the whole community. Because it's a combined effort of myself, co-visionaries. I always have those that are like, you know what you should do for a grade. Yeah. Local business sponsors, community partners and nonprofits, municipal partners, the visitor bureau, and my staff and volunteers. And I use a lot of volunteers. Without them, this definitely could not happen. And all these partners, they invest their dollars and their time with me because they feel what I do is an important aspect of our community, of our place. And they feel like what I do contributes to our quality of life here and our economic vitality. So we have shared goals, and that's why we work together and the events are very successful. And finally, environmental. All of my races take place on public lands. They take place on state land, county, federal parks, forests, and on our trails. And they're a sustainable, low impact use of our lands rather than an extractive use. When we're done with the race, you can't tell that we have done that. I also contribute to the environment and these public lands by doing trail maintenance. I adopt a section of trail myself. And like I said, I donate back to organizations that take care of these trails. So. You already heard about me. I'm going to talk about our team. So you heard about me. This is Brittany. She just moved here last year. She's an ultra marathoner, ultra runner. Witnessed her run a 100-mile race recently. That was pretty crazy to see. But she's a new race director for a race I'll tell you about in a little bit. This is Buck. He lives in Hoquiam. One of our races was down there. And he is the owner of Bucks Northwest, and they do bike rentals and a surf shop. And he also just purchased a 75-year-old bike shop from the retiring owner in. Oh, look at who that is. That's Coach Ekman. She's on our team. We've been working together lately, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that later, but to put on some running training programs to get new runners out on the trail or people returning to running after a break. And then she also she started up a trail running workshop. It was this year, right? Yeah, this year in February, and that was very successful. And we were happy to sponsor that. And then yeah, so that's been really great, this partnership. So she's on our team. Here's more faces you might recognize. I won't go through all of them, but some of the bigger events, like the 80-mile relay you'll hear about, and also the Big Hurt, require a whole committee to put them on. And some folks are paid, some are volunteer, but this is our members of our team. One of them I'm married to, they're on the top right. That's called voluntold when you get your husband. There's a few more, and then along the bottom, just a few of our volunteers. We have hundreds of volunteers that help them. And here's just a few of our sponsors that we've had for a long time. They believe in what we do, they contribute to what we do, and it's, they're all awesome. This year we got our first national sponsor. You guys, and you guys wear Darn Tough socks. They're like the best socks ever. Yeah. I was at a trail running conference last fall, and they had a little contest to see who won a Darn Tough sponsorship, and I guess I won. One of our community sponsors is North Olympic Healthcare Network. And with their partnership, we try to focus on the health aspect, obviously, of what we do. They support the races in general. They help keep our prices down. They've made our work with Carmen possible so that we can keep the price of her programs really low to be as inclusive as many to as many people as possible. And then they also make the Little Hurt possible, and I'll tell you about that in a little bit. But the kids event, a nonprofit event for youth, and then they've also helped provide some medical training for some of our volunteers who are out there on the courses. We send people into pretty remote areas, and we need to have a lot of safety precautions in place. There's another Carmen picture. It's a workshop. We also have a new community partner this year, Port Angeles. Putting on a race takes a lot of stuff, and my 900 square foot house can only hold so much stuff, and they're providing a little bit of storage for us. Myself combined with the Peninsula Trails Coalition, who also has volunteers with their houses filled with stuff, so they're really helping us out a lot in that. These are some of the nonprofits that I work with and give money to. And these are all the municipal partners I work with. The Big Herd takes, which I'll tell you about in a minute, takes 8 different permits from 8 different permitting agencies. And they're all very supportive, I have to say. I've never had any trouble getting permits for anything I do. They're supportive, they're helpful. I have nothing but good things to say about all this. What goes into creating a race? There's a really long list of things. If I'm going to create a new race, I have to start over a year out to get all the permissions and get everything in place to even get a new one started. But there's a lot that goes into it. I started out putting on my first race in 2013, and that was as the Olympic Adventure Trail was getting completed. It was more or less complete in 2011, and then there's a little bit more work done after that. And I started it up because I'm a trail runner myself, and I helped build the Adventure Trail as part of my job with Plum County. And I felt a real ownership of the trail. I feel like it's one of my best accomplishments of my working career. So I'm very, very proud of that trail and my contribution to it. And I'm a trail runner, and I thought, and I just heard little things around the community saying, someone should put on a trail run on that trail. Oh, if anyone should do it, it should be me. And, luckily, I didn't know how to do that, right? So luckily, Scott Tucker from the Northwest Cup downhill mountain bike races, I guess familiar with that. To throw him under the bus and have to give him and anyway, he helped mentor me, and he taught me what I needed to. So that's great. So the outrun gets it's more and more popular. So we had a half marathon, and it would sell out with the waiting list. The number of participants is based on the number of shuttle buses I can get. I do a remote start up in the Kelly Ridge between Highway 112 and Highway 101 is Kelly Peak and Kelly Ridge, and that's where the Adventure Trail is. So we do a remote start where we shuttle them, and then they all run back to a shared finish line. And we always include an after party with all of our races. We think that's a really racing. So we have beer garden, food, door prizes, all sorts of fun stuff going on. But anyway, Outrun has grown to be about 400 participants this year. I don't think I can handle any more than that. It's a 3-foot wide trail. So, but we have different distances that have different start times and places. So they're kind of all spread out over the trail. They're not in like big mass or anything. Oat Run goes generally west to east and ends at the horse trailer parking lot on Dan Kelly Road. And Goat Run, and that's in April. I try to focus on shoulder season rather than bringing people here when it's summertime. When it's already busy. And then Goat Run is Olympic Adventure Trail Run. Goat Run is the Great Olympic Adventure Trail Run because that's longer distances. I have half marathon, marathon, and 50K distances. And then that one goes generally east to west. It ends at Log Cabin Resort on Lake Crescent, which is a spectacular finish line. And they've been very supportive. So anyway, that one's in September. Pictures. I should have been showing these all along. Sorry about that. Nice photos. Sometimes it's very emotional when someone finishes their first race. And here at the lake, of course. This year we added a trail running film festival to our Oat Run race in partnership with Peninsula College and their Magical Cinema series. It wasn't super well attended just because it was our first year and we just need to get the word out a little bit. But series of short films about just trail running in general or specific races. Who started the Big Hurt? Yep. Yeah. So the Big Hurt, the history of that is it was put on by the Olympic Peninsula Visitor Bureau from 1997, which is just before I moved here, to 2004. And they had an employee, and Christy Agron, and she is an Ironman triathlete. And so she really had a passion for this project. I think it was started up also her and a man named Rick Hurt, who I don't know, H-E-R-T, not H-E-R-T. They put it on for a number of years. And then when she moved away, because it was kind of her passion project, it ended. And so after a decade absence, for as long as I've lived here, all I hear from athletes is, I wish we still had the Big Hurt. I wish we still had the Big Hurt. So in 2015, myself, Tim Tucker, and Scott Tucker reached out to Christy Agron. We found her, stalked her on the internet and found her in Renton and called her up and said, can we bring back your race? And she said, of course. And she hasn't come because she has a Ironman on the same day, but she said one of these years she's going to come. Anyway, so we resurrected it. It's been going on since 2015. It's a multi-sport race. People mountain bike, and then they jump in a kayak, and then they jump on a road bike, and then they run. And it takes anywhere from, I'm going to say 4 to 7 hours. They have a 7-hour cutoff if they're doing it alone. It's much less painful to do it as a relay team. Each individual leg it's challenging, but it's not over the top. So if you do it as a relay team, it doesn't hurt. Or not. Anyway, and it's super fun. A lot of relays, what they'll do is they'll have the exchanges that go, they're in all different locations to pass through like the county or wherever. Ours, all the exchanges are at the park downtown. And so while all the teams are waiting for their teammates to come in and the spectators are waiting for their iron to get, it's like kind of an all-day party atmosphere. It's really fun. Multi-sport event and relay event compared to other relays are fun, of course, but this one has everybody all together. It's very fun, cheering each other on. The Little Hurt is the version for the little kids. And it's first through 8th grade, and we're not putting them in the water, don't worry. You have them riding their bikes, and then they go on rowing machines provided by the Olympic Peninsula Rowing Association. And then we have them do a run. And This is by far my favorite event that we do of the whole year. It's terrible. I cry at every one. I see the kids go through the finish line. Here's some photos. The mountain bike takes place. Oh, there's the original one. That one on the right is Link Fitzwater. You know him. So that's the original one. Do you guys know this guy? Dave Lasorsa? He's a huge athlete. He's not huge, but he's a very talented athlete. So that's him on the left in 1997. And that's him on the right 2 years ago. Do you notice the shirt?
It's the same.
It's the same exact shirt.
Got some sweat.
I don't know. I don't know how he kept smelling good after all these years, but. And Matt Sagan from Cascadia Films, he took some beautiful drone shots 2 years back. The mountain bike is up on the foothills trails up by a little river there.
When was that one? With all the bikers? Do you know what race?
That's Big Hurt and the start line of the Big Hurt. So the Scala from Fort PA. Definitely a family fun event. The kiddos waiting for their dads and moms to come through the transition. A lot of camaraderie. There's the kiddos. I know, right? All right, the next event is the Frosty Moss Relay. That's an 80-mile relay route that goes across the entire county. It starts west of Lake Crescent, out on Cooper Ranch Road, and they use the Olympic Discovery Trail and the Olympic Adventure Trail. So a little bit of pavement, a little bit of dirt. Up to 5-person teams. So there's 15 legs. So if they have a 5-person team, each person does 3 legs. Doing 3 separate legs is harder than doing just one race because they can't do consecutive legs. So they do a leg and then they gotta sit in the car while everybody else runs, and then they gotta get out of the car and run again. And it's in February, so there's that too. But I really wanted to create a winter event. So it has been rescheduled for snow though. The last couple of years the snow's been a little crazy.
How many people do we have trained up for that?
It's about 200. Here they are, they start in the dark. Oh, they also dress up and they have costumes and themes. That's the slug mobile over there on the right.
Is,
We give
is the mascot a slug?
The mascot is a banana slug. Yeah, you can see our logo there. The little banana slug logo. People love the slug. So a lot of the teams are slug themed. And I heard Joyce Day's Blackberry Festival had slug races. I should see if the slug race people want to come to. Unless all the slugs are sleeping.
There's Greg. I didn't know. So Greg in the orange hat. That was
Oh,
the first,
yeah.
that was the first Frosty Moss. That's what has Greg in the orange hat. Yeah. Cute.
We give a prize for best team themes. Backcountry horsemen always bring their it's a miniature donkey and a miniature horse, or a donkey and a miniature horse, and they set up a huge tent with a wood burning stove and like hundreds of cookies, So they win every year for the best exchange, so. Something we started up in 2021. Do you guys know what gravel cycling is? It's road cyclists are getting tired of almost getting hit by cars on the roads. So they are switching to gravel roads, like out on Olympic National Forest, all the logging roads, things like that. There's fewer cars, and they don't use mountain bikes. They use essentially what is a road bike. But with, so they have like, the bikes have a little bit higher clearance, and they can accommodate a little bit wider knobbier tires, but not by a lot. They're still narrow tires, not like big mountain bike tires. And mine are, there's a short distance, it's about 30 miles, a medium distance that's about 50, and a long distance that's like 80 miles. And I put one on in Quilcene, and they are huge fans of the event. You know, they want to bring people into the community. So they're super supportive. We do it at Worthington Park. If you've never been to Worthington Park, next time you go through Quilcene, make sure to stop. It's one block off of 101 on Columbia Street. Those volunteers there, the Quilcene Museum volunteers there, there was a humongous Victorian mansion, they call it a mansion, Victorian house in the park, and they restored it to its original incredible beauty. So if you have any chance to get there and see that, and they have a fan shell and beautiful old barn and 10 acres in the museum, and the little Quilcene River goes through there, and there's a little trail. It's a beautiful park, and they rent it out for weddings and all that kind of stuff. There's some photos. You can check out the bikes. And I'm weather cursed, it always rains. This year, one year, last year, she brought sequin skirts for everybody. She got the guy behind her to win. You guys know Cliff Hales here in town, and John Hales, the Hales family. His daughter last year became one of my main juniors. I don't have a lot of juniors. She's 15 in this photo. She did every single short course for all the races. And this is a brand new event. It's never happened. Hopefully it's successful, and I'll tell you about it because we are still looking for sponsors, volunteers, things like that. It's a brand new event. It's at the end of October. Again, we're trying to create shoulder events and not bring people here in the summer when we're already overrun. And this is a 24-hour race. And you can do it by yourself, or you could do it as a relay team of up to 12 people. And you do as many 1.3 mile loops around Salt Creek Recreation Area as you can in 24 hours. You don't have to keep going for the whole 24 hours. It's very flexible. You can just go for a little bit and then stop for a couple hours. You know, you can go, maybe you have a goal, like I've never run a 50K. So you can just go until you reach a 50K and then stop. And it's a very controlled environment to do that. Instead of a lot of 50Ks, they throw you out in the wilderness. And it makes some people nervous. And so this is a really controlled way to see if, like, can I do a 50K or a marathon or 100 miles, whatever you want. There is an optional fundraising aspect to it. And the fundraising aspect, you can do it solo, you can do it as a team, and you choose a charity. It's kind of like do you guys remember the Relay for Life that used to happen? I don't know why it stopped. Does anyone know? I don't know. And that one was raising money for the American Cancer Society. This one, you could choose your own charity. And I've set up like about 10 pre-selected charities, but if you want to set up one of your own, and all the money is, you can do all the fundraising through our registration system. So you don't have to mess with like keeping track of everybody who's donating. or pledging money. Like some of them will pledge like so much per lap. So the more you complete, the more money you're gonna raise. And you can do it all through our registration platform, and that keeps track of it for you and bills them, and they pay through that. So you don't have to mess around with getting, keeping track of all that and collecting the money. So it makes it a really easy way to do it. So that's that, and we're gonna need volunteers. We rented out the picnic shelter with the fireplace in it, and we're gonna have food going 24 hours a day. So we're gonna need people to staff that and keep the food going. And also it'd be nice to have some nighttime, when they're running through the night, some nighttime course commercials. And we also need sponsors.
When is that?
It's October 28th and 29th. And we've decided to get really crazy on that. And right next door to Salt Creek is, have you guys heard of Striped Peak? It's on DNR land. And they just, the Washington Trails Association came in and helped make that into a loop. It didn't used to be a loop. But anyway, using one of the part of the new trail, we're doing a last runner standing thing, and this is really nuts. It's how they normally work is you do, I'm gonna say 3 to 4 mile course every hour on the hour until everybody drops out. So let's say it's 5K, 3 miles. So all of the people doing the race start at 8 a.m. and then they run a 5K. And if they get back at 8:30, then they get to rest until 9 a.m. and then they do it again. And then they do it again at 10, and then they do it again at 11 until everybody drops out. I'm making it kind of pretty gnarly because they're gonna summit Striped Peak every hour on the hour until everyone drops out. Guess who signed up?
Rob DeFood.
He's the first one.
Is he on the line?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, is he on the line?
Uh-huh.
Good job, Rob. I heard he's trying to recruit Joe DeScala to do it too. So we'll see what happens with that. I also do a little bit of contracting and consulting. Last weekend, I helped the Peninsula Trails Coalition put on the Tour de Lavender, which you probably saw in the paper. It's their event. I'm just helping if they contract me to help. And consulting, I've never had anyone pay me to consult. I usually just do it for free. Anyone wanting to start up a race, I'm happy to sit down with you and walk through all the steps. Like Scott Tucker did. And this is another one I contracted with the Trails Coalition on. And there's the Tour de Lavender. And that's it. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Do you have a question, anyone?
No.
Yep.
I got these little notes.
So all these look like they're, as you described, they're races. Do you do any that are just events? So they're not necessarily competitive with just, being out maybe even on the same trails or same areas, but
Yeah.
You just support them in the same way, but without all the competition involved.
Yeah, the gravel bike races we do. We have a non-competitive division. And it's exactly the same, we just don't time them. Takes some of the pressure, makes me feel like I'll give it a try, just see if I can do the distance and not have to worry about a clock.
Yeah.
So, hats off to the adventure trail. My son and I mountain biked that, and it was my first lifetime mountain biking. Flying down the trail, I could walk for a week. That's a young man's sport. Just out of curiosity, as the overall umbrella on managing, what do you do about liability?
Each race has its own insurance for the day.
Say it.
Each race has its own insurance
Okay.
for the day of, and I pay per participant.
It is, so that's part of the fees that you charge.
Yeah.
Right.
It's all wrapped up in insurance. I was working with an insurance company this year. They don't like to give overall insurance to race promoters. They just find it a little too high risk. Even though the race day, even if they do an exclusion for the race days, because you have race day insurance, you still don't want to do it. I did talk one guy into doing it, but the price was too high for me. And I don't really need it. Like outside of race day, I just sit in my home office don't do anything very exciting, but I really need liability for that. And the insurance company I use, for the runs is, Roadrunners Club of America. I'm a member of that, and they offer an insurance program for race directors for the running event. And the other events I work through a company called Silent Sports. It's McKay Insurance. I think they're based out of Iowa, and they have a sidearm of their business called Silent Sports. And they do all sorts of sports events.
Can you tell us a little bit about the demographics, first ages, and then where you're drawing people from?
Yeah, she asked about demographics. The running events are primarily, if they're about 60% women. And all ages, with the main ages being 30 to 50-year-olds. So it's not a young person. They're not young person sports. So 30 to 50 years old are the primary age group, and mostly women. And then the gravel bike races are different. It's about 80% men, 75 to 80% men on the gravel bike races. And where do they come from? All over. Yeah, it's usually, I have some Canadians, and then and occasionally someone farther afield on the trail running events. But I'd say each race has people from at least 15 states. So from all over. Yeah.
What are the main things that your participants are looking for? You know, what encourages them to sign up for this event rather than something else somewhere else?
I haven't figured that out yet. Marketing is not my strong
The
point.
people.
Yeah. And it's the scenery too. I mean, yeah.
Well, you know, I did years ago. I did do a survey out to all of my email list, and I think I have it here. I asked them what do they like about it, and I have some comments here that I wrote down. They said that they're community oriented and have a local feel. They're pretty small races, not like the Boston Marathon, 10,000 or whatever. So they're community oriented, have a local feel. Our staff and volunteers are friendly and welcoming. There's beautiful scenery with high quality trails and well marked courses. We're known for our well marked courses. You're good, right? They say our events are unique, small in size, and well organized. And they also feel it's a great value and a lot of fun. So, and I haven't figured out the marketing thing. I'm going to say primarily word of mouth. Because I asked them on the registration, how did you hear about us? And a lot of them are, online social media, or there's a lot of race calendars out there. Like Trail Runner Magazine has an online race calendar. So they find them on the race calendars, word of mouth, and then online. So.
I think that like the approachability of adventure activity, like adventure sports is great too. Like it's a nurturing environment, very supportive, especially like I feel like the oat is kind of like the gateway to the running of your races, and it's just a beautiful trail. We can run it in our own backyard on a Tuesday, go out and train along it. So I think it's just really welcoming. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.